Good day. The League of Women Voters welcomes you to a Meet the Candidates Forum for the nonpartisan election to represent Subdistrict 6 of the Anoka-Hennepin School District Board. I am Bruce Pomerantz, trained moderator for the Anoka-Blaine-Coon Rapids Area League of Women Voters. Because I live in Fridley, I cannot vote for the candidates running for Subdistrict 6. And I am not acquainted with either of the candidates. The League thanks the school district for providing the school board meeting room for the forum and QCTV for recording this event for access by you viewers. This year, the League is holding the Meet the Candidates forums without an audience to avoid COVID-19 spread. Questions for this forum were submitted online in advance at our website, lwvabcmn.org. We had more questions than we have time for this 30-minute forum. I subsequently consolidated and rephrased similar questions and selected the ones to ask. Each candidate will have up to 1 minute to answer each question. The candidates will receive a 15-second warning before the time is up. They have permission to complete the sentence that they may have started just prior to the warning if they have not concluded their remarks. At the end of the set of questions, in approximately 30 minutes, they will have 1 minute for concluding remarks. The candidates received 3 questions in advance that I will ask. They were also informed of the broad subject matter of the subsequent questions, but do not know the specifics of the questions. The League Meet the Candidates event is a forum, not a debate. Each candidate has been asked to respond to the question and not to any remarks the opposing candidate says in this forum venue or said on previous occasions. Prior to recording this forum, we determined who would answer the first question. The order of answering the subsequent questions will alternate between the 2 candidates. And candidates, you may ask me to repeat any question. The goal of our forums is to help citizens become informed voters. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any political parties or candidates for office. These candidates care very much whom you vote for, but the League does not. The League does hope that each of you will vote either early or on November 2nd. The candidates for Subdistrict 6 are Jill Bornes and Jeff Simon, both Coon Rapids residents. Thank you very much for agreeing to participate in this forum. And Jill Bornes, you will receive the first question, which you received in advance. Why are you seeking this office?
I'm running because I believe in public education. And now more than ever, we need an experienced leader advocating for our kids. As a mom, I've experienced the highs and lows of public school. As a past PTO president, I understand balancing community considerations and budgets. I've spent 20 plus years volunteering in Anoka County, and I'm ready to take the next step as a leader for our community. Seeing our education system and all of us really kind of stretched to the limits lately, it's kind of worried me that perhaps we could lose sight of the great strides our district has made in closing the achievement gap and in recognizing the value of inclusiveness and of ensuring our students not only learn in school but are able to thrive. I'm here because I know that strong support for schools brings our community together, and we could use that right now.
Jeff Simon, why are you seeking this office?
Thank you, Bruce, and I would like to first of all thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum, and to everyone in our election district. It has been an honor to serve as your school board representative for the last 9 years, and I really want to thank you for your support and your voice over that time. My name is Jeff Simon. I've lived in Coon Rapids for 21 years. And throughout my service on the board, I have always and will always keep the focus on our students in every decision. I believe that focus is even more important today as it seems we find ourselves in a hyper-partisan world. Often, when I first joined the school board in 2012, people would come to the school board after serving on not only your PTO, but also district task forces, committees, and parent legislative teams. Over the last few elections, we've moved away from that, and that's something I want to continue to always serve as nonpartisan and serve as a role model for that. Thank you.
Okay. And now, Jeff Simon, would you explain your past and present community involvement?
Yes, so as I mentioned, I've lived in Coon Rapids for 21 years. I started volunteering in this community over 20 years ago, including on the Coon Creek Watershed District Citizen Advisory Board as a Coon Rapids youth baseball and basketball coach, and I just finished 2 years as the Coon Rapids High School basketball booster vice president and treasurer. Before I began serving on the board, I volunteered at Hoover Elementary PTO and continued volunteering at the district level on a levy campaign and as a leader of our district's Future Focus Task Force. One thing I would mention, if folks are interested in serving locally in our educational system, and especially those that are looking to seek to serve on the school board, I'd urge you to check into the many opportunities to serve and learn at our district on a committee or a task force. It certainly provided me a great foundation for future service on this board. Thank you.
And Jill Borges, please describe your past and present community involvement.
Sure. I'll introduce that I lived in Coon Rapids for about 17 years, in Anoka County for about 27 years with my husband Dean and my 3 teens. One just graduated from Coon Rapids High School in the engineering program, and my other son is in it as well, and my daughter's at the middle school. And prior to becoming a stay-at-home mom, I worked for the state of Minnesota doing geographic data analysis using my geography background. In the community, I was a University of Minnesota Extension Master Gardener volunteer for about 8 years. And for the past 10-plus years, I've volunteered in Anoka-Hennepin schools, including 7 years on the Sand Creek Elementary PTO board, where I spent 3 years as president. In that role, I got to build relationships with school staff and administration, and it really gave me a glimpse of the incredibly complex inner workings of the district and inspired me to do what I can to continue to support this critical work for the community as a school board member.
And now, Jill Borges, what are your short and long-term goals for representing the Anoka-Hennepin School District?
Sure. It makes me think of, have you ever, told your kids school is your job, right? They're there for like 7 or 8 or more hours a day, and just like us adults, for some it's an escape, for some it's a joy, and others it's kind of a drag. They can't just change jobs, right? But they can check out. And as parents, we can't let them, and as a community, we have to support them. So the goals would be to have more mental and social emotional resources for students and staff, and we need to obtain, sustain, and retain outstanding people to work in this district. And we must responsibly spend every tax dollar that's put into our trust, and we should continually empower students with problem-solving and critical thinking skills. I want kids to like school and to feel capable at school. I want all kids to feel safe and welcome at school. I want them to know that their learning style and how they can apply their talents and gifts in the actual real world.
Jeff Simon, what are your short and long-term goals for representing the Anoka-Hennepin School District?
Thank you. The goal is our mission statement, which is to effectively educate each of our students for success. We offer vast options for students to find their personal passion. In our local area of Coon Rapids and Andover, we have specialty schools at elementary and high school for biomed and engineering. We have expanded AP offerings at Andover High School, the Nebula Talent Development Program, and all of our schools offer many electives, AP offerings, Avid for first-time college-seeking students, and much more. These options have resulted in families saving an estimated $100+ million in college tuition since 2012, and we have consistently outperformed the state and peer districts in state testing and lowering the achievement gap. But going forward, we have to have continuous improvement. I've personally been an advocate for a program to increase reading achievement by 3rd grade, which I'm excited to say was implemented this school year, including lower class sizes and additional teacher support. I'm optimistic this could be a game changer for every student and help us to finally close the achievement gap for all students.
Okay. And now we'll begin with the questions that you have not heard about. But we have given you, as I said earlier, broad subject areas. This one we defined as problem solving. Jeff Simon, when confronted with conflicting information and opinions on an issue, how will you determine your position on the issue? And you may use an example if you like.
Sure, that's a great question. Thank you. So, personal decision-making starts with learning all the facts and understanding the problem and the potential solutions. We have to look at our experts. We have experts in the classroom, our teachers. We have experts in our building, our administrators, and we have educational experts here in our district offices. All of them need to have a voice in what the potential decision will be. I'll give one example about during COVID, we had we had some conflicting information on activities and if we can continue activities during COVID. When I found that conflicting information, I went to administrators, I went to local health officials, and I went to our local politicians and found out exactly what the state and the local health officials were communicating to us to do. We proposed a motion at the board meeting. It did pass, and the state came through the next day and said, you know what they did is absolutely right and fine. So it takes a lot of research and a lot of talking to your experts to come to those conclusions.
Okay. Jill Bornes, when confronted with conflicting information and opinions on an issue, how will you determine your position on the issue? And you may use an example if you like.
Sure, thanks. I guess we've come to find out it's natural to disagree, I guess, about data sources and stuff sometimes now, but when making decisions, I will weigh the impact it will have on the community, especially our students, and letting the impact and the responsibility that we have to each other guide me in the decisions. In our PTO group, we had a budget less than we thought one year, and we had to prioritize as a board, and then in consultation with parents and administration and staff, like which things we wanted to maintain and which things we wanted to protect, because we had to make some cuts, and it was very difficult because everybody got used to doing all the great fun stuff that we did. But when I have to make hard decisions, my commitment to voters is that when I'm asked to make a hard decision, I will always be transparent about my decision-making process and will always be willing to be held accountable to that commitment of transparency.
Okay. And this is labeled board unity. If you are, Jill Barnes, if you are in the minority on a policy issue vote, what is your responsibility with regard to supporting the majority decision with which you disagree?
If I'm in the minority and it passes, well, we work as a school board. So if you're on the school board, you're one of 6. And so you're there to support, if it's voted that that's what needs to be done, you're there to support the workings of the district. So I would, after great discussion and, trying to figure out everybody's positions and have been listened to, if I don't agree, that's okay. If we're moving forward with the solution, that's what we need to do. If it's been decided it's for the good of the district and the students in it.
And Jeff Simon, if you are in the minority on a policy issue vote, what is your responsibility with regard to supporting the majority decision with which you disagree?
So many questions have come before the board over my 9 years that all 6 members do not agree upon. There have been votes that have been unanimous, and there have been votes that have been 5-1. Your first responsibility as a board member is to do your homework, make sure you understand the topic and the policy, and really, the best you can do is do what you think is right. So if you come out on the 5-1 end and you're the one in the minority, that's fine. If a policy passes in the district, that is the policy of the district. So you need to support that also. But I could tell you that coming from a very nonpartisan position, it's a very good way to serve on a board and to understand that if you come out on the other end of a decision, you can still work with those folks. So using a common sense, logical approach, has not caused any issues, and has made for very strong board service. Thank you.
Okay. And Jeff Simon, as part of your answer, please define what equitable achievement means to you. The question is, while you are elected from a specific section within the school district, what is your responsibility to ensure equitable achievement throughout the entire district?
Thank you. Well, I may repeat this a couple times tonight, but you need to go back to our mission statement, which says to effectively educate each of our students for success. It doesn't matter whether in your district or throughout the district, we want to make sure every student succeeds. So you asked to define an equitable education or equity in general, and equity is making sure that our students, we're a public education system, so we gladly and happily accept every student that comes through our door. And it is incumbent upon us as a district to make sure that we effectively educate them for success. And to do that, you need to meet them where they're at. So making sure we have what's in place for those students so they can achieve and be successful is very important. Thank you.
And Jill Bornes, as part of your answer, please define what equitable achievement means to you. The question is, while you are elected from a specific section within the school district, what is your responsibility to ensure equitable achievement throughout the entire district?
Sure, I'm glad you asked that because there's been a lot of, I think, misunderstanding maybe about what equity means. And so what I wanted to do for this question was to read from the district equity achievement plan what educational equity means as far as the district is concerned. It's when educational policies, practices, interactions, and resources are representative of, constructed by, and responsive to all students, such that each individual has access to, can meaningfully participate, and make progress in high-quality learning experiences that empower them towards self-determination and reduces disparities in outcomes regardless of individual characteristics and cultural identities. And I support that goal as a whole, across the whole district.
Okay. And this is about responsiveness to citizen inquiries. Jill Bornes, do you have a responsibility to be available other than at school board meetings, A, to the residents within your district and residents outside the district?
Yes, I believe that we do. For sure, you have a responsibility. I mean, the school board meeting is when people can come talk to you, but it's anybody who's been here and commented, there's no back and forth, right? There's no exchange of ideas. So I think it's important that I've seen school board members at district events and, public meetings where there's people and they'll take comments and they'll chat with you if you have questions. Outside the district,
I should say the sub-district, I mean,
Oh,
that you represent.
outside like our area. I was like, who in Fridley is going to talk to
I
us?
apologize.
No. Yeah, for sure. Yes, I mean our whole district functions together as a whole. So I think as long as people have an interest in our district and whether they're grandparents or community members or parents, I think that yes, we should take the perspectives and listen to what all the input that people have about the workings of our district.
And Jeff Simon, you heard the clarification, so
Yeah,
I'll
thank you.
make it. Do you have a responsibility to be available other than at the school board meetings to the residents in your sub-district and residents outside your sub-district?
Got it. Thank you for the clarification. So yes, absolutely. Part of school board service is making, we're a local school district, so making sure you understand what your local community is talking about and thinking about and their opinions and their feedback. It's their education. So you need to be absolutely available. I'll say that my guiding principles for serving on the school board since I started back in 2012 has been outreach. And that outreach not only includes our community, it includes our teachers, it includes all of our staff members. For example, teachers are the experts in the classroom. When we're making decisions on the classroom, we need that voice. So outreach in all of those areas is unbelievably important. I will say that current practices, and I do support this, is that we certainly hear from everyone outside of our sub-district. Within our sub-district, if we received an email, for example, we would respond directly also, and the local representative for the sub-district would respond also. Thank you.
Okay. And Jeff Simon, this is about the continuous improvement model. What is your opinion of the district's continuous improvement model that annually is reviewed to determine district strategic priorities and which may take several years to accomplish?
Yeah, thank you. And I think you probably, in the audience, probably heard me mention continuous improvement a couple times throughout my answers. So I am absolutely in support of the continuous improvement model that we currently have here. And let me just give an example of before we had a continuous improvement, because I go back to that time service on the board, is that priorities and programs and kind of the newest shiny things in education would be brought forward, and we would greatly overwhelm our system. We would be trying to do too much at exactly the same time. So making sure you have a strategic priority list and a continuous improvement model allows you to take this large organization and make it function very well. I could tell you, prior to the continuous improvement model and strategic priorities, and now we can accomplish so much more for our students and for our district. Thank you.
And Jill Bornes, what is your opinion of the district's continuous improvement model that annually is reviewed to determine district strategic priorities, which may take several years to accomplish?
Sure. I think the district has done a good job working through the continuous improvement model. In fact, it was, I believe, awarded or honored at a nationwide gathering a few years ago. And I think it's helped to develop the 3 important strategic priorities. And as I've been learning about all this, I found that the 3 priorities are a safe and welcoming environment, increased student achievement, and effective organizational support. And then under those, there's categories of actions that are being implemented, reviewed, or monitored for the future. At first, it might look a little cumbersome, but I think there's great value in it. It allows for thoughtful and deliberate actions within the district. And I feel that centering, in the past one that I've seen, and centering the equity achievement plan goals across the 3 strategic areas, it underscores that bringing people together for a common goal is important.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And this falls under what we call student curriculum options.
Okay.
Jill Bornes, current news reports indicate a lack of entrance for skilled labor. Does the school district provide sufficient education and counseling to students about training and employment that does not require a 4-year college degree?
So does the district, okay. I believe that they do. I know there's a great push, having my children just have gone through this sort of process and are doing it right now. I know that there are a lot of options. And there's a lot of resources for students to register for free. There's a period of time in the fall that they get everybody together to register, or not register, but to apply for colleges for when the fees are waived. The curriculum options, I think, are so important because it's one of my hopes for students that, you get to find fun things that you like or things that spark joy in you. The other day, I saw this thing. I wanted to talk about it. The president of Harlem School of the Arts was on TV yesterday, and he talked about how arts education and other things help develop the idea that it's okay to be different and create things that haven't been done before and be authentic. And he said, it doesn't just apply in arts and things, but he's like, in business, those people are called visionaries, right? So it's very important that kids get a wide range of choices in the curriculum.
Okay. And Jeff Simon, current news reports indicate a lack of entrance for skilled labor. Does the school district provide sufficient education and counseling to students about training and employment that does not require a 4-year college degree?
I think that's a great education, and it's not just national news reports. Our local businesses would tell you that also. We meet with them often, and they talk about we need skilled labor now. And I will say that Anoka-Hennepin has been honored nationally for our program. Not only do we have vast electives. We're very elective rich in our traditional high schools, if you will, and students can be exposed to those types of careers. We also have our STEP program, our Secondary Technology Education Program, which has been heralded nationally as a place. First of all, it's housed at a local college. Students can get those local two-year either certificates or two-year associate credits, but they're also training in the technology space. So Anoka-Hennepin, in my opinion, has done outstanding in this area, and I could tell you other districts across the nation are looking at us for how we handle that area.
Okay. And this falls under the student well-being label. What is your responsibility, Jeff Simon, to evaluate if the district provides sufficient resources for students' physical and mental well-being?
Could you repeat the beginning of that, Bruce?
Sure. What is your responsibility to evaluate if the district provides sufficient resources for students' physical and mental well-being?
Yeah, thank you. So it is the boards, along with the administration, district administration, it's our complete responsibility to make sure that we have resources, adequate resources and programs in place for student safety and mental health. I will tell you that we have expanded our mental health capabilities in Anoka-Hennepin over my time here, where we have extensive opportunities for students in every one of our schools now. And the federal funding that we just received from the COVID funds have been also allocated to increase that area for the mental health and safety of our students. It's very important. Typically, public education now has become the housing of mental health services, food services, everything for our community. So it's very important for the state to hear that and understand that, and I think they know that. Make sure the funding is there for that, and it's fallen on our responsibility, and Anoka-Hennepin has done a very good job, but again, continuous improvement, we can always improve. Thank you.
Okay. And Joe Borges, what is your responsibility to evaluate if the district provides sufficient resources for students' physical and mental well-being?
Yeah, I think it's very important as a school board member, and as he mentioned, across the whole administration of the district, children's life situations, directly impact how they function day to day. And in preparing the students for the future, we can't forget that they have immediate needs as well. Some might be some kids might need shelter, food, or care, but it might also be that they need to feel listened to, like what they write or think or how they participate in class matters. They want to know that they matter. So as a district and as school leaders and teachers, we need to listen to students, parents, and caregivers about what our students need from this big thing called the school system, right? And then do our very best to provide it. This is why the mental and social emotional supports contained in the federal funding and the levy questions coming up, and the aim for educational equity is so important.
Okay. And staying on that subject of student well-being, what is your opinion of the policies concerning protecting students from violence, harassment, and bullying? Jill Barnes, please.
Okay.
Want me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thanks.
What is your opinion of the policies concerning protecting students from violence, harassment, and bullying?
I think that student safety is of the utmost importance in our schools, and that I think the district has been doing a fine job of that. And the thing with a concern would just be of zero tolerance policies, in that I think that sometimes situations need to be looked at fully to understand when punishments or consequences are meted out. That I just think to keep in mind that you just have to see the beginning, the middle, and the end of all circumstances that happen. I think that sometimes there's nuance in what happens and what has caused certain behaviors, but keeping the children safe and feeling like they can walk the halls and be safe there, I think is of utmost importance.
And Jeff Simon, what is your opinion of the policies concerning protecting students from violence, harassment, and bullying?
So in my opinion, our number one priority above all else is that students are safe at school. If they're not safe at school, they can't learn. So it's absolutely our number one priority. Anoka-Hennepin, I would venture to say above and beyond any district in the nation has a very well vetted anti-bullying and safety policy and procedures that we have in our schools. So I am very confident that when your kiddos are in our school, they are absolutely safe, and it is a welcoming environment for them. Now, we need to continue to look at that. So, safety in school is certainly anti-bullying and other things, but it's also about the safety of the building. We have invested heavily in making sure that our buildings are safe, and we also have an unbelievably close relationship with our local law enforcement that ensures safety within our schools. Thank you.
Okay. And Jeff Simon, what is your responsibility to keep informed about COVID-19 affecting classroom attendance and in-person and online instruction?
So again, it is not only a board member's, but it is administration's utmost responsibility to be informed about that. This pandemic has changed a lot from when it started to when it is now. It has thrown curveballs. The advice and from medical advice to local and state has changed constantly. So it is an ongoing thing, but I will tell you what Anoka-Hennepin is doing and has done, which I completely support. Our administration works with our state and local health officials to get up-to-date, sometimes up-to-the-minute information on what's happening with COVID. In addition to that, we monitor our schools and what's happening within our schools specifically with the spread of COVID. We have taken all the precautions and all the mitigation strategies and spent a lot of dollars on that. And I'm very proud of whether it's the air purification or the PPE or the cleaning on everything we've done in that area.
And Jill Bornes, what is your responsibility to keep informed about COVID-19 affecting classroom attendance and in-person and online instruction?
It's, of course, very important. It's top of mind as far as most people I know. It's, as a parent, the best place for our children to be is at school. And also, community is about taking care of one another. So I hope that knowing that the school board is doing and the administration is keeping on top of the latest health information is very good. I mean, there's been a lot of uncertainty in the past 18 months, and we're still faced with the responsibility, however, of keeping students, teachers, and staff and families safe. The school board came to a compromise with the masking situation, and based upon the county's positivity rates. That said, cases are still on the rise, and I appreciate that things are being monitored, but it's still a very important concern. And I believe we must listen to and implement, the recommendations made by health experts.
Okay, and let's turn to the budget. Jill Bornes, how will you analyze the proposed line item budgets for adoption that the district administrative staff will submit to the board?
Well, first and foremost with budgets, it's the focus on students, right, and the impact on the students in the classroom. One of the important things, obviously, is always class sizes, small class sizes for the lower grades especially. It's very important. So we want to try to keep that because it really helps the younger children. Also to make sure that all the teachers are getting all the tools and resources that they need to help the students be successful. And want to also look at maintaining as many curriculum options as possible, as we've talked about a little bit, that it's very important for the students to be able to have a wide range for their future. So when I'm elected, I will take very seriously my role as an advocate for our community and also being a good steward for your hard-earned tax dollars. And that means we listen to every voice when it comes to thinking about budget decisions and using my professional background to analyze all the data available and coming to budgeting decisions that serve our children and our community.
And Jeff Simon, how will you analyze the proposed line item budgets for adoption that the district administrative staff will submit to the board?
Yeah, so it's certainly an advantage, being very intimately understanding our budget for the last 9 years. So analyzing it is certainly easier after that much experience. One thing to understand is that the board's role is to really set the priorities, right? So you have to ensure that the budget is following the priorities that the board has set. So that's really the main role of the board. Also, if it is not, it's certainly something that we have to look at and discuss. But typically, we have such wonderful experts in education here, from our superintendent to our administration to our teachers. And I would venture to say we have the best chief financial officer in Michelle Vargas, who knows our budget inside and out and is always there to be a great resource.
And Jill Bornes, I'm sorry, it's Jeff. Do you have a particular area or areas of the budget that is of special interest to you, and if so, why?
I would say no. It's really the entire budget. I mean, there are certainly priorities that specific board members have brought, and mine have changed over the years. Certainly in our talent development program, which we launched a few years ago in our Nebula Talent Development School within a school. I've had a lot there. Most recently, for the last 2 years, I've been an advocate for our Read by Third Grade. And you know what, I'll just spend my time on that because it's so exciting. We're implementing it this year. Lower class sizes in K through 3, additional personnel support for our teachers, and also professional development for our teachers. And I believe that this potentially can become a model for the nation on when you look at the achievement gap and you look at Read by Third Grade and how that is predictive of student success throughout their education. I am optimistic that this will be a game changer, and we will have a chance to get rid of the achievement gap for all students.
And Jill Bornes, do you have a particular area or areas of the budget that is of special interest to you? And if so, why?
Well, honestly, I just, not knowing the budget intimately, I think that it's important. The main thing I'd want to focus on is helping kids have choices. And so I would like to make sure, as we've talked about before a lot, about having choices in electives and really letting kids shine. Like, they have to do the certain basic things, but I think it's really important to let kids really find their passions and to find what they want to do when they grow up and what they want to be in the world. And so having the wide range of electives and choices for children, I think, is very important.
Okay. And this is the last question before we go to our concluding remarks. For Jill Bornes, what is your responsibility to know about the vacancies, salaries, and retention regarding support staff such as paraprofessionals, custodians, cafeteria staff, and community education child care providers?
Well, I would imagine the responsibility, you should know about all of those things, I guess, as the school board. I mean, the experts come and speak with the school board and talk about things. I remember at the last meeting, we were talking about busing and how important it was, and cafeteria workers, and trying to retain people in there. So I think it's important that as a board member, you keep on top of the situations if it's causing any changes in service or anything that's happening in schools that's making it a little bit difficult. But I think there's professionals in the administration that really deal with those issues on the day-to-day basis.
Okay. And Jeff Simon, What is your responsibility to know about vacancies, salaries, and retention regarding support staff such as paraprofessionals, custodians, cafeteria staff, and community education childcare providers?
100% responsibility for a board member to understand what's happening in our district in those areas, and potential solutions that we can implement to solve those problems. So staffing has been an issue, specifically in many different areas that you just mentioned. And Anoka-Hennepin has done, like, I'll use substitute teaching, for example, substitute teachers. We have implemented wage raises. We have done outreach. We have conducted seminars and job fairs in that area to continue to build to our pool for there. But board members absolutely have to be, are responsible and have to have intimate knowledge of that. You know, when you talk about these areas that are having shortages or any issues within our school, we have to come up with solutions, and also the board is responsible for things like negotiating with these bargaining groups. So you absolutely have to know what's happening on a detailed level in those areas.
Okay. And now we'll have concluding remarks. Because Jill Bornes answered the very first question, the very first person to provide concluding remarks will be Jeff Simon.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Bruce. And again, thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum, and for everyone who is going to be watching it. It has been an honor to serve as your school board representative for the last 9 years. For me, this is about service, not politics. I am fiercely nonpartisan in my service on the school board, focusing on our mission to effectively educate each of our students for success. We have had many successes to celebrate, but we must remain focused on continuously improving. Please visit my website at jeffsimon.org to learn details about my guiding principles and the results we've accomplished over the last 9 years. Beyond asking for your vote, I continue to ask for your voice and feedback. You are very important to our local district. Thank you.
And Jill Bornes, your concluding remarks, please.
Yes, thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum, and thank you, Mr. Simon, for your participation tonight as well. We're at a defining moment in our community and in our world, and our kids are growing up in a time when our community is being faced with problems that we've never experienced before. Our children are growing up every day, and the chance to tackle these problems and to help our students thrive kind of dwindles with every day that as our children get older. And we need a leader who's ready to tackle these problems, bring people together, and find solutions so that our children get the education they deserve. I believe I am that leader, and I hope to earn your vote by November 2nd. Thank you.
Candidates, thank you for your thoughtful answers. Viewers, thank you for learning about the positions on the questions that your fellow residents submitted. Please inform your neighbors and friends about this program and how to access it. Early mail-in voting has begun. Contact your respective Hennepin or Anoka County Elections Office to learn how to obtain a mail-in ballot, or go to online mnvotes.org. In-person balloting occurs 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. on November 2nd. Polling locations may have changed from the 2020 polling sites. Your respective county elections office can inform you of your polling location, as does mnvotes.org. Also on the ballot are 3 levy referenda issues. The Anoka-Hennepin School District home webpage has a link that provides information about the individual referendum. Again, thank you for viewing, and good day.